Yo soy el puente entre lo antiguo y lo moderno. O sea, yo siempre he tenido esta mano agarrada a la tradición, no perderla y con esta ir buscando.
So what does it mean, what Paco just said there? I am the bridge between the tradition and the modernity. What does it mean that? This is a very deep thing. Paco just said there's something ultra juicy, because if you understand really it's hard what he's saying, this is very deep knowledge, and you can take from it so much value, because a bridge is something which transports you from point A to point B. It is not a fixed thing. So what he said, I am the bridge between the tradition and the modern flamenco, which means that it will be necessary to study thoroughly, very all over his style, his technique, and his way of composing. Of course, his works, not that you need to play every piece of Paco, but you need to really know him. One may not play every piece of his music. It's not even necessary. He many times told me these albums, old albums like that, forget about this, this is not good. That is Sabicas, not me. In fact, he will say in this series, which a friend suggested me to say something about, because I have some realization about Paco de Lucia. I know him from 20 years, since I was 8 years old, and I was lucky to be with him so many times. I can say what I realized through him about the guitar, and because when I was young I was fanatic of following him. It is my personal decision, of course. Now I also teach others about this, but yes, I do have something to say, and here it is, because I was saying I am the bridge between the tradition and the modernity, meaning you need to study very carefully what is his style. In fact, nowadays, which he will also say in this series dedicated to Paco, it's a great interview, and he will say there is no originality also. Now I don't see any original things now. And it's why? Because of lack of knowledge of his work. When he'd say, well, of course he could evolve and innovate from Sabicas' point, because there are 3 points there of evolution, which is Ramon Montoya, long time ago, then Sabicas around the 50s, like that, and then Paco. And when Paco did this evolution, even inside flamenco, which soon was very short size for his capacity, as Chick Corea said, which you cannot engage Paco de Lucia into flamenco, he's bigger than that. Chick Corea said that in his, in the last documentary, his son made, we can watch that as well. But the thing is that Paco created this evolution from Sabicas, but first knowing everything of what Sabicas was doing, his style, his accents, what was his harmony, everything. Of course, he never followed his technique because it was very defective, you know, the picado like this and all that. but he reinvented flamenco guitar based on first when he evolved from that point. He first knew all what Ricardo, Javicas, and others, all his predecessors did before. This is the right hand. What Paco said, I have one hand in the tradition, and with the other hand, I am searching always the innovation. So if we also, as players nowadays, and you can see it in everyone, would teach you, will also say that it was through his fame and through his international prestige that other players, he opened the door for anyone else who is now, like Vicente Amigo, Tony Rey, or anyone who is there out playing their stuff. It's because Paco opened that door. Because before this compositional thing, which he will also say there, it was forbidden to compose in flamenco. That's how much outrageously awkward and ignorant was that environment there, of which he has to do away with that in order to be who he was, a real innovator and a genius of the guitar. Of course, the tool this time he came as a flamenco player, and being so, if we don't know very carefully, because any players which are nowadays, they don't know Paco. This is a problem. That's why this bridge has not been real. They are not going anywhere, practically speaking. Because if you see in Soleá, for instance, one day Paco told me, you know, even if the real path is to explore the compositional side of flamenco, but through the improvisational venue. Only through that you can do. If you don't do that, then you will be in trouble. And even, he said, and very seriously, and he was alone with me, so nobody was listening also. That means he was not compromising anything to make pleasant words for others. Because he said, if I try to do a falseta in Soleá or anything now, and don't repeat myself of what I did before, I will be in big trouble. How to speak of you or others? And of course he said names, but out of politeness I will not say it. But practically speaking means everyone who is not. Why? Because even he did so much work. Just the very first falseta of the track 2 of Lucia album, Villa Vieja, this thing here has just that falseta. The other day we counted with a friend, Tony, who was doing a research, and I think it's a thesis or some serious paper about Paco's innovations, and I counted like 30 something new things just in one falsetto, and the very first falsetto. So for him to not repeat himself, it was extremely difficult, or don't do something that he did before. So what to speak of us if we don't have even that knowledge? Therefore, that's why he says the bridge, because one needs to study in order to, if you want to be a flamenco player, in that side of the bridge, you will need to know very well what Paco de Lucia is. Very, very well. And once you know that, then you can become composer. And nobody's doing this now. I did, but any other people don't follow it. They try to do their own thing, and then what happens? At the end they will finish doing the copy of the copy of the copy of something which they don't even know is a copy, because they are so much into the ego that, yeah, I did it, but partly because of ignorance, of not having enough knowledge in music, in the musical field and in musical forms to analyze what composition is. They know none of them studied composition, first of all, and none of them are really flamenco players able to match with Paco, you know. So therefore, he said this, I am the bridge, which means if you want to go to the other side, you have to pass through me. So through Paco means that you have to pass through these works and the artist and what he did and his aesthetics and this, understood all these things very clearly. Otherwise, there is no bridge. You will not fly from the point A tradition to the modern day, right? So this means we need to know very clearly what he did. For instance, this person that asked me those classes, and we analyzed only things written and came up that it has 30 innovations. This first falsetto of the Soleá, the track number 2 of Lucia album, So if you don't know that, and now you want to compose solea, and nobody nowadays in Spain knows it this way, I will actually soon make another video specific for that, to prove to the world what this personality did actually. Such an amazing things never done before. And although, unless one studies this, one cannot imitate him. He will also say in this series, nobody could compose, and also I never went to the school, I don't know even the name of the chords or of the scales. So, but if you, but that's him only, 1 in a million. If we try to imitate this and don't study, this is a very bad idea, which is what the flamencos told me when I was a child, and my father brought me there with Paco and said, tell Paco what is telling you players around, these flamenco people. They said that I should not study because you didn't study. And Paco said, what are you saying? I didn't study because I didn't have money to go to the school. But this is a big mistake. Don't do that. Knowledge is not against flamenco art and the essence of flamenco. The essence of flamenco is not against this knowledge. Now people is shameless enough to say, well, you know what, you should not study. One doesn't need to count or to study rhythm. Just do whatever, and then you are okay. But only a fool will believe such a statement because they have no proof that this is so. On the other hand, I do have the proof, and I will write this because it's very specific, but in one falsetto, 30 things. So just like that, this is just to give you one example out of many things, which are all to be seen on the when he appears, the real Paco de Lucia, because of course also in that same interview, I'm seemingly saying on interview one video, but it's not, because every point has something which I want you to catch, because I was requested to explain a bit about it. Otherwise you just see it and then swallow it like popcorn and don't get anything about it. But this is Paco saying, I am the bridge between the old and the new thing, and the future. So if there is to be future, they have to pass through him, which means what? It doesn't mean to play two falsettos like everybody. Yeah, of course, Vicente or anyone, whoever is around, they know a bit of Paco also. They may be inspired because of him or anything, but I'm not saying that. I'm saying go through this bridge means that you really know. Right? And not even technically speaking, there is not one person in Spain that plays his technique. I proved it in another video, which was an exam of picado, like many people doing this, bending here, right? Which he never did, the posture, etc. I will post it in the description, the first video, you can see it there. And there I quoted everyone from all levels, many countries, etc., including all the stars of Spain nowadays, the so-called composers, etc. None of them, one of them, had Paco's technique, not the ability, I mean the posture, how he played the picado. For instance, I did just over this one example of not bending, etc., these things which he taught me. And he was right, also technically, because guitar has evolved a lot, and then unless you know technique, really speaking, this technique, his technique, is best technique. That's all. Then of course others come and say, well, because they feel actually inferior, that they don't have this technique, and then they will say, well, you know, everyone has his own thing. Yeah, that you say to cover face, but to save face, because really speaking, that's not true. When you will see how effective is, first of all, this, but goes like this. This thing here, let's go 4. These things here, it did not exist in Sevica's time. So he made the evolution so much. Number 5, same thing. Every finger down in the example, all this stuff, which now is applied, or everyone playing with the leg crossed in horizontal position and negram, and then, well, of course, that's not being based in Paco. That is that he created such a big influence, also bringing the cajon, the caja as a percussion to accompany, because he never liked drums. I don't know why he said these drums and nylon string I don't like. So he discovered that and then implemented even different instruments. All this what he did and when and how, and you'll be able to understand that this is knowing Paco. Otherwise, if we play some pieces written in books for tourists, made for tourists, And we play like, or we play like his stuff, like classic music. And you know, people that plays the picado like Seviques and his Paco's music. This is not knowing Paco either, because that is like using a Ferrari with the wheels of a Volkswagen, or with the steer of a Volkswagen. That is not a good idea to put that in the Ferrari. The Ferrari has its own steer, its own wheels. So that therefore, that's Paco, the Ferrari is Paco, right? So technically speaking also, that we also need to inquire, not that we need to play like him. Listen, this is what I'm saying. For example, this researcher, Anthony, I cannot pronounce his second name, Filetzek, no. It's some like Polish name or Irish name. But he's a researcher, and actually I don't know, maybe he plays very well, but I haven't seen him play, but I know he's a scholar, a researcher of university, PhD level and that. And he's writing this paper, probably even these people will write books, of course, about Paco's contribution, but this is all people who studied all the academia way and who have enough information to understand these things at the historical level, compositionally, etc. So all that, this is the bridge. This is all this what I'm saying. It sounds easy, but there is analysis involved of his work. There is the analysis of his technique involved. Not that you have to play same, but you have to know what he did, right? Because I'm not saying also that the only flamenco will have someone that plays faster than Paco or anything. I'm not saying that. That would be a very nonsensical remark. I am saying that you have, because he himself said that I am the bridge. So it means if you want to go to point B, you have to pass through that technically, compositionally, harmonically. And this area you will see also, he said that I have my own way to see harmony, because I remember one day I was at his place and who was reading a guitar review magazine, in English, an article or something there, because there was an article, very nice article of Scott Henderson, I remember, and then someone was making the food like that, but then I see he was reading that, and then all of a sudden he said, "What is this, Ruben?" He asked me, and it says something like E minor with ninth, and then on the second, first inversion with major nine, like that. It was something complexly written in a nerdy way. And Paco said, "What is this?" And I said, that is that. They said, "This chord is this." And then he said, "Oh, that I know what this is," because by ear he could identify. So immediately he will try to search the scales which he can use over the chord by ear, right? So this kind of process of very intuitive compositional style, etc., also gave him very original ways to link chords, etc. For him it was an advantage, but how? This also we have to study a bit. We cannot say, "Well, I don't care what he did, everyone has his own thing." No, because that's not knowing the bridge. Then you are not crossing the bridge. You are staying actually, which is what I proved in that video of technique, of the picado problem, that nobody plays his technique. No, that's why. Because they are doing their own thing. And just like the maestro who is, the best trumpet player nowadays, was a disciple of Miles Davis actually. And I will also post the description, this is the second link. He said, you cannot invent another abecedario. If you try to add more things there, there's no meaning. You have to express yourself with this abecedario. Don't start with this, I do my own thing, to go away from knowing what the predecessors did. This in science is also not done that. The guy who did something further than penicillin, he also knew what the other guy did before, of course. They have to know it. If you want to make evolution of a telephone, of a cell phone or something, you need to know this is the past model, this is the future. Right? You have to know what was done before. You cannot do the same and then believe, well, this is my own stuff, No, you have to objectively, this is another problem with lack of objectivity. And in this art, of course, it's not like chess, that in chess to be seated with a international master or anything, you have to have the rating that matches with that. You cannot say, well, I think I guess I played well. No, you have to have that much rating, and then you can sit in that chair. That is very clear who is qualified, who is not qualified. In flamenco, especially, in music a lot, but in flamenco, we are champions at it. We lose objectivity immediately, and then and also don't know really what's happening due to prejudice and ignorance of the facts of what it is really happening. Because Paco did this work. Actually, you know that's the reason why he associated with all these great players, jazz players. But he never tried to make jazz out of this. In music, which he will also say, it's the same. But because this is the bridge, unless we know that, we will remain stuck in the past, which is what is happening. I hope it will not. I'm not happy that this is through this. It's actually a very sad thing, but hopefully, well, of course, people like Paco, they are not coming to this world every 5 minutes, maybe, I don't know, 1 in 100 years. So it will come, the moment, but I think that what is really alarming is that everyone has not, all these so-called stars in flamenco nowadays, they don't have a really serious attitude to understand Paco first, and then they end up doing or very superficial, shallow stuff, or copying him without even knowing, which is even worse, because then when you present this to the qualified audience, and then you judge that these are 6 chords in the same key, with the same speed, the melody, if you can put one melody on the other, and one was created in 2002 and one was created in 1976, there is a problem. We have a problem in Houston, because this is not that, well, everyone has his own flavor, and actually this is different. No. Objectively speaking, this chord is E minor, this is A minor, and that's all. This progression is also there. And the key is also there, the speed of the thing, and even the style of the stuff. So this is a copy of something. I'm not saying on purpose. Probably most of the time it happens that one to say no, one is copying. But you see, this is why all these examples are of not going beyond the bridge. On the other side, if you listen Chick Corea, which will be the suite that he composed for Paco, and Paco said, I asked him what is the recording you liked more ever, all the things you have done. I thought he will talk about some of his albums, but he said, my favorite recording is Touchstone Suite, the piece that Chick Corea composed for me. And of course he plays there, along with Carlos Benavent, with 3 caja players. They were the great Alex Acuña, a fantastic studio drummer session from Peru. This is a star of music in LA. He was playing caja. Laudir de Oliveira was there, and Don Alias, rest in peace, I think, was there. So 3 people. Carlos Benavent also was accompanying Paco with the electric bass. And this is a suite that consists on tientos, tangos, first part, and then it has some parts at libitum, this thing here. This is melody. That is also there. That is part of this tientos part and tangos. And then there is the bulería, yellow mimbus, which is, this thing, crazy music. That also we need to know. That is because Chick Corea, he really knew and studied Paco, actually, being pianist, but he was, I know because he said this, he was listening to music and very carefully analyzing everything and trying to duplicate that in the piano. So that is a study. Of course, Chick is a genius, right? But he can do this very easily. But he did, and he studied the things. He never tried to impose classicism into flamenco or jazz into flamenco. He did that music as it is, to play acoustically with piano acoustic and Paco playing there. He recorded this in LA with a Barbero 1957 guitar or something, an authentic one, Barbero old with clavijas. That's why it has a bit of a skin tone, but he liked it because he could play easily. Paco was a bit nervous to play with Chick sometimes. But anyway, that recording there is the recording project of Paco, and that will be the third link in the description for you to listen, because that is the example of someone who has already passed through the bridge of Paco to the other side, Mr. Armando Anthony Chick Corea. But he is a pianist. He's a composer, of course, he's beyond the instruments, but in fact he composed this suite for Paco and to play it with him, and he did. But in guitar field, we need this information, otherwise we will not grasp that big tip Paco is giving there, saying, I am the bridge between the tradition and the future and the modernity. We have to pay attention to those words and read between words what he means really there. Chick got it, and therefore the result what was? That marvelous music there, marvelous suite, the side one, the LP, this is 2 pieces around 30 minutes or so between both of them, Procession Ceremony and Yellow Nimbus. Yellow Nimbus is Bulería in E flat minor, and I think the tientos are also in E flat minor por medio, you know, this, the Bulería is this thing, and yeah, of course, and then Paco was in love with that thing and said, man, you know, this is the best thing I have ever recorded. That's how much not envious he was and admiring others' qualities. So very important, very, very important. And then if we know that, great things are waiting for us as composers. Otherwise, we remain stuck in the other side, thinking we are already passed through. Hopefully not. And I realize this is important stuff to talk about. So thanks also to Eduardo for suggesting me to do this video. And I will see you next time.
Me ayudó porque descubrí ahí la improvisación. La improvisación es algo que yo pienso que cada músico del estilo que sea, del clásico, del flamenco, de cualquier otra música debería aprender, porque la improvisación te da mucha libertad y a la vez te da mucho conocimiento de dónde estás tocando, de cómo estás tocando, de qué armonías están en cada momento, ¿no?
Muy bien. Pablo. Sí, Paco, ¿qué es para usted la música popular y qué es la música elitista?
Yo creo que la música elitista es el refinamiento de la música popular. Por ejemplo, el flamenco. El flamenco originalmente es una música popular, la música del pueblo de Andalucía. Pero creo que ya no le pertenece más al pueblo, porque de pronto habemos gente que nos hemos pasado toda una vida encerrados, puliendo esa expresión popular. Entonces ha llegado a un nivel en el que el pueblo ya no tiene acceso, sobre todo a los matices que vamos consiguiendo la gente como yo, que nos pasamos muchas horas elaborando esa música.